from Think Factor. I'm thinking clearer and better than ever. If you've ever thought, I wish I could be more clear, more focused, try Think Factor today. Call 800-4RELIEF, 800 the number 4RELIEF, or visit relieffactor.com to learn more and order Think Factor. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better daily.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.
All right, thanks for joining me tonight. Hey, the Bears squeaked out a win. Good for them. Glad to have it happen. Looking forward to the Cubs and their wild card series too, but actually sports is not really the thing that I do. I mean, I like to watch it, but I don't really follow it closely enough to, give you the stats on any individual player. Just not my thing. Oh no, my thing is watching the politicians in this state literally screw people over, lie to them, take their money, and whatever else. And whatever else this time is what is happening at Broadview ICE detention facility, because it's complete chaos. And as I wrote in my email today, I think Governor Pritzker's enjoying it. I think he doesn't care about what's happening in Broadview. I think he's egging it on, and he wants his protesters to stay there and continue to impede ICE operations. That's what I think. I think he likes it. Because you know what he said, you come from my people, you come through me. Well, Governor Pritzker, if that's the case, guess what? You can stop your people at any point in time. You could stand right in front of those ICE vehicles and tell everybody, go home or go protest in the park across the street. But we are going to allow federal law enforcement to do their job here in the state of Illinois. But that's not what he did. Not at all. And so utter chaos broke out Friday night, broke out Saturday night. And, of course, the federal officials had no choice but to, but to send smoke grenades over and to send tear gas over and to, shoot them up with pepper bullets. So that's what they did. And, some people got arrested as well. But this is going to continue to go on and on and on as long as Governor Pritzker allows it to. And that's exactly what's happening. He is allowing this to happen. He wants it to happen. He doesn't want them to peacefully protest. Oh, no. He likes the sideshow. But you know what, folks? It could get quite dangerous. Red State just had this article out. Escalation. Now Chicago anti-ICE riders are carrying guns. They're carrying guns. This is a problem, folks. This could mean real trouble in the future. And in fact, they actually caught somebody that they arrested at the Broadview detention facility. And he had what looked like possibly an improvised explosive device, possibly some sort of grenade. Who knows what could have been in it. And they also found 2 guns on one of the rioters who was right up close against the fence. So you know what? I think that they want to escalate this. I think that they think that if there's violence erupts and Trump really has to crack down on them, I think that they think that it's going to look like Trump's the totalitarian when in fact he's not. It's simply these people are out of control. Now, I happen to be at the ICE facility in Broadview because I like, this is the real story. I like to see things and really how they're happening. I like to see what the setup is, kind of understand the lay of the land, know what ICE is kind of having to deal with in the moment. And so Wednesday morning, Ted Dabrowski, who I am fully supporting for governor, had a press conference there, so I decided to attend. And, you get a good look at things. You can understand things better when you see the riots on X, which is where I typically find that type of information, when you understand what a confined area it is. So literally, they blocked off I think it's Beach Street or something in Broadview. And the ice facility is along this street. And they put up high fencing all around the ice facility so you can no longer drive through the street. It becomes a dead end. And on one side of the street, there's another just high metal fencing blocking off a parking lot. And on the other side, there's a couple buildings. But all of those buildings and the ice building all back up to a railroad. So there's no going across that way. So you're literally in somewhat of a kind of an alley. So the street, which is a wide street, has become an alley where it's just set up. And when I was there and I saw it, you could have seen it on the riots too. There's somewhat of a permanent tent. Well, it's not a permanent tent, but I think it's up there all the time. It's permanently erected there, a tent, and you've got all the protesters there with their water and whatnot, and it's a place for them all to relax. And you had the same characters. You could hear the banging of like a tin. I don't know if it was some sort of cowbell that they were banging. There's a few people always there, just out there protesting, but not at night, and not certainly when that cat, who I can't even pronounce her last name, she's running for Congress in the 9th District, her and Dan Biss show up. No. Those guys are full-throated, impeding the advancement of ICE vehicles. It's just chaos. This is what they want. This is what Pritzker wants. And again, he could stop this tomorrow if he didn't like it, but he likes it. It's what he does. And then again, they were out there yesterday. They were in the streets of Chicago again, protesting ICE. And it was the same sort of people, the Illinois Coalition for Refugees and Immigrant Rights. Those folks were out there with their consortium of people, just simply walking the streets on a beautiful Saturday because apparently they have nothing better to do. In truth, they're probably getting paid to do it. And they're probably getting paid with taxpayer money because ICIRR gets a lot of taxpayer money from us. Meantime, the Daily Caller and many other organizations reported on this, but U.S. Marshals working in conjunction with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children rescued a 13-year-old girl who went missing hundreds of miles away in Rochester, New York. According to the agency, the missing teen was found with an 18-year-old male and his father, both of whom were determined by Immigration and Customs Enforcement to be in the country unlawfully. They found her in Blue Island, Illinois. That's where they found her. They had taken her from Rochester, New York to Blue Island, Illinois. And this is the type of people that the federal marshals and that ICE are finding and returning to their parents. Also, the article went on and said that Operation Midway Blitz, which is the ICE operation that began in early September, and it's named for Katie Abraham, who was killed by an illegal in January in Champaign, who was driving drunk. And they noted that federal immigration officials have, since they began this Operation Midway Blitz in early September, they've arrested hundreds of criminal illegal migrants, including Trinidad, gangbangers, and others charged with murder, sexual assault of the child, armed robbery, and a slate of other criminal histories. That's who they're arresting. And yet these, politicians like Pritzker are happy to protest ICE and upset that they're doing their job. Now, it was kind of interesting. There were Border Patrol that were performing full body gear and weapons up and down Michigan Avenue today, and beautiful Sunday. And they got some harassment, but you know what? I'm glad that they're out there, and I'm glad that they're doing the job. This is Pritzker's chaos. This is what they want. And you know what? We all have to stand strong and call them out for what they're doing. Because again, Pritzker could, if he wants to say, you come for my people, you come for me. Hey, he's a big target to come through, but go ahead, Pritzker. Why don't you stand in front of that ICE vehicle yourself? Why don't you stand in front of it and tell your people to go home? Let them do their job. He won't do that. We have a really full show. We're going to go to break just a little bit early because I'm going to have Sheila Weinberg on. No surprise, Illinois receives an F. Her new State of the States report is out, grading them on their financial solvency. Illinois gets an F, 48th worst in the state. And hang on while she tells you how much each single taxpayer owes the state of Illinois if it were to pay off its debt. It's a big number. We'll be right back. This is The Real Story with Jeanne Ives.
You're Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Hut, hut! Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists, modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
For decades, Dennis Prager shared his wisdom with listeners around the world through his lectures, courses, interviews, and debates. Now, for the first time, the collective wisdom of Dennis Prager is being made available as a podcast. Listen to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, with new episodes released for a limited time only as a podcast. Subscribe for free today at DennisPrager.com. That's Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, exclusively at DennisPrager.com.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donnelly Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donnelly Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonnellyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donnelly does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donnelly has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donnelly Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donnelly Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonnellyAuctions.com.
Did you know a will alone does not keep your family out of court when you die? The court still has to approve your will, but get a living trust, and your estate can be settled clearly without issue. Talk to the attorneys at Nauman & Associates. They prepare wills and trusts for a flat fee, no surprises, no hourly rate. With decades of experience, they know the law and offer a free consultation. Contact Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village, nalawgroup.com. Call 847-593-8777.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining me tonight. This is an important topic. I know people don't like to necessarily focus on this. They'd rather talk maybe about, schools or, that's important too. Don't get me wrong, crime, whatever else. They kind of, they're so used to hearing that that Illinois is broke that it just sounds like a repeat of the last 10 years. But you know what? Illinois is broke. And here to discuss that with me is Sheila Weinberg. She's a CPA and the founder and CEO of Truth in Accounting, whose mission is to compel governments to produce financial reports that are understandable, reliable, transparent, and correct. Well, for the most part, Illinois fails a lot in a lot of those ways. They're certainly not understandable or reliable. They're not transparent, and oftentimes they are incorrect. But Sheila is correct. She's got it all down. And every year so far, they have been doing these, The Truth About Balanced Budgets, a 50-state study, and her new one just came out. Sheila, thanks so much for joining me on this program. You are an Illinoisan as well, which is even more important, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for having me on, Jeanne. And, it's a lot about numbers. And as you said, Illinois is broke and people know that. But I think it's more important to think about it in relation to the balanced budget requirement. And the reason you have that is so the government doesn't spend more than they take in. But by using false numbers, the current governor and previous governors have been able to expand government beyond what the taxpayers are willing to pay for. And therefore, the taxpayers really cannot hold the governor or the other elected officials accountable. And if they had the true numbers, think about, and the budget was truly balanced, what the governor would had to have done to truly balance the last budget it was out of balance by between $5 and $10 billion. And if he had required to do the math correctly, then he would have had to raise taxes, which the voters wouldn't have liked, or decrease spending and certain benefits, which the voters wouldn't like. But by doing the math wrong, he's allowed to pretend the budget's balanced, and it makes it so the voters, go to the voting booth. He's saying the budget's balanced, I'm being fiscally responsible, and people make voting decisions based upon the wrong numbers and those wrong statements.
So when you say $15 to $10 billion unbalanced, are you specifically talking about the fact that they do not actuarially fund the pensions at the rate that they should, and instead use a statutory number that is typically $6 billion below? Yes.
Okay. There's other gimmicks that they play. And again, people are like, oh, the pensions aren't getting paid. But again, they're not really balancing the budget. And if he really had to balance the budget, there would be political consequences. But because we don't hold them accountable for this accounting, there's no political consequences for him.
Well, that's kind of the argument that they made in 1970 when they put in that pension protection clause, when they had that constitutional convention. And they essentially said, well, if we put this pension clause in where it says you cannot in any way impair the pensions, they thought at that time that the burden would be so ginormous that they would in no way overdo the pension obligations or confer benefits that they could not afford. And so they thought that this was a way to actually make pensions a reasonable number that would be on the books. And instead, what we got was monkey business that has ballooned our pensions to a huge amount and is the source of much frustration with SEC action against Illinois happening again for misleading pension disclosures. Now, that happened in 2013. Quinn got a slap on the wrist, should have got fined, got a warning. And are we back at it again? Are we getting a cease and desist ordered again from the SEC?
I believe the SEC, needs to. They protect the bondholders. They need to protect the taxpayers.
Yes.
And the bondholders, I believe, I'm an accountant, not an attorney, but I believe that the state is violating the cease and desist order. I believe that the state is violating the anti-fraud provisions of of the Securities and Exchange. And keep in mind, I used to think that it was because there was misleading statements in the bond offerings. But since then, the SEC has issued in 2020 a legal bulletin that said, no, it is not just the bond offerings. It's financial statements. It's press releases. It's the budget. And in the governor's last budget, he said he was fully funding the pensions. And as you and I, Jeanne, know, he is not fully funding the pensions. And he may be fully this statutorily requirement, but the cease and desist order clearly said, if you can go ahead and fully fund that statutorily requirement, which you just made up, and it doesn't really have anything to do with actuarial, sanity. But if you do that, you have to disclose how much you should have. And in the governor's 600-page budget, they did not disclose that. He just said we are fully funding the pensions. And I believe that the SEC needs to come in and charge them with securities fraud again.
Okay, well, let's stay on the pension system just really quick before we turn to your report. But the other big problem here is Pritzker signed this police pension bill that adds pressure for a state bailout and a city property tax hike. That's what the Sun-Times wrote as their headline. Them, who is like basically a union-owned organization, is admitting that this pension bill that he signed could cost $60 million more in 2027. And by 2025, city pension payments will be $750 million higher. overall, I believe it's adding $11 billion to these unfunded pensions. And most egregiously, both police and fire pensions are now below 20% funded. And that is literally the definition of insolvent. And so he signed this bill and he pretended like it wasn't a big deal, but actually, or he pretended like he didn't understand how detrimental it would be to Chicago. But the backstory is that the emails revealed that he knew damn well that this was detrimental to Chicago. So not only was it a terrible bill to sign, but then he lied about not understanding it.
Yeah, but, I would push back. I totally agree with what you're saying, but, the Republicans voted for it.
It flew out of the House. That's right. Yeah, it was a unanimous vote.
This brings to mind what we're also pushing is in the 1970s, before 1970s, corporations offered their employees defined benefit plans, and they did not record them properly, and they did not fund them properly. So when Studebaker and others went bankrupt and their pensioner, they didn't have the money to pay their pensioners, the Congress stepped in and said and passed the ERISA, the Employee Retirement Insurance Securities Act, which required them to run them properly and disclose things properly and contribute things properly. And unfortunately, and so since then, corporations have either started funding them properly or they have gotten rid of them and switched to defined contribution plans. Why haven't the governments done that? Because there was one line in ERISA that excluded state and local governments. And the rationale was, the governments always treat their employees well and will fund these properly. Well, since ERISA has passed, we have evidence, especially in Illinois, that they do not follow that good model. And we believe that ERISA needs to be changed, and it needs to include state and local governments.
Oh, that would be a game changer for sure, to put them on the dime to make sure that happens. In the meantime, yes, this bill flew out unanimously because they considered it a parity bill without realizing that Chicago Police and Fire don't pay as much in as downstate does. So there wasn't really any parity to discuss. That's part of the problem. Now let's turn to your report, because your State of the State one, which is great, it tells you exactly what the taxpayer burden is per taxpayer. In the state of Illinois, the money we need to pay our bills is $172.8 billion, according to your financial breakdown, and that equates to a taxpayer burden of $38,800. We rank 48th out of 50. You gave us a financial grade of F, and I know we're only one of 5 states to receive an F. What else can you tell us about your report?
Well, obviously the pensions are, the major part of that. The unfunded retiree health care benefits are also part of it. And the pensions, they may be setting money aside, but the Illinois Supreme Court said that the retiree health care benefits were just as guaranteed as the pensions, but the state does not set any money aside to pay those. The other thing that we found that was disconcerting is we looked at the federal aid coming to the states, and historically that runs below $750 billion for all the states. During COVID, that increased up to $1.5 billion. COVID is over, so you would think that the amount would go back to the historical level of around $750 billion. But the federal government in 2024 still gave the states $1.2 trillion. So we believe, and we think the environment in Washington is obviously cutting. And we did a study if Illinois' federal funding went back to 2019 levels, adjusted for inflation, the money they would get next year versus what they got in the prior year would be $16 billion less, which would be 15% of the state's estimated expenses. The likelihood of that happening, nobody knows. I think it's pretty strong with the political environment in D.C. There's already budget constraints. What are they going to do if they lose 15% of their primary government expenses?
Oh, well, they're going to probably have to hike taxes because they don't want to cut spending in the state, which is what we need to do, because he's increased the budget 40% over the 7 years that he's been there. And you've got a declining population. So it makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and the other two things we found is, one, we're not using all the other states, there were only 7 states that had not issued their 2024 financial statement. The numbers I'm talking about are based on 2023 financial statements. They didn't issue their financial statement until 400 days past their fiscal year end. If a corporation did that, they would probably, IRS would be after them. They'd probably lose their, the Securities and Exchange Commission would be after them. They'd be they couldn't be on the stock exchange anymore. But Illinois, is notoriously late. The other thing is
hey, Sheila, we're going to have to leave it right there. I have a hard break. And so I want to thank you so much for coming on. We'll have you back on to discuss more of this because it's really important information. Sheila Weinberg with Truth in Accounting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
News, I'm Carmen Roberts. This morning's mass shooting at a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan, kills at least 5 and injures others and rattles the community. This man says he knew the gunman.
Yeah, he was in the military, so I don't know if that had something to do with it. Maybe he just kind of snapped.
Police identified the gunman as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford from nearby Burton. They say that he smashed his pickup through the church door, started shooting, and then set the church on fire. Police shot and killed Sanford. In New York City, Mayor Eric Adams abandons his bid for re-election.
He decided to quit the contest because of low poll numbers and his lack of campaign funds he has been placing forth. This leaves basically Mamdani facing former Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa.
Fox's Eric Shawn. America's listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, "They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me." Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, "Their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience." This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
You know, life moves fast. Staying sharp, focused, and clear-headed isn't always easy. That's why the same company that brings us Relief Factor has developed something brand new, Think Factor. Think Factor is made to help you think clearer and perform better daily. It's a powerful blend of nutrients that unlock mental clarity and precision, nurture your memory, and boost your attention attention. With Think Factor, brain power and performance finally meet for lasting daily results. Supercharge your memory and mental sharpness. Your brain is your most valuable asset, powering your creativity, focus, and daily performance. If you're feeling mentally foggy or not recalling things as quickly as you used to, Think Factor could be just what you need to reclaim your cognitive edge. I am so thrilled with the results I personally have received from Think Factor. I'm thinking clearer and better than ever. If you've ever thought, I wish I could be more clear, more focused, try Think Factor today. Call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, or visit ReliefFactor.com to learn more and order Think Factor. Think Factor. Think clearer, perform better daily.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining me this Sunday night. Hey, the phone number here is 312-642-5600. I've got a great guest coming up, but I'll have time for some calls following that. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit more, though. I mean, you should look at Truth in Accounting's information. They have so much information here about what's going on in these states, and just to follow up from our earlier conversation here. Illinois is just like, it's not fiscally sound. And I don't know what else to tell people. I don't know how to wake them up any more than to tell them, look, this is unbiased reporting. And you know what? Pritzker, here's the deal. Pritzker had every opportunity. He had complete control of the legislature for his entire time there, supermajorities. He's had 7 years to right the ship. He had a huge influx, like Sheila told you, of federal money coming in for COVID. He could have done any number of things to right the ship, and instead he spent it all and then raised taxes on top of it. That's what's happening in this state. So, I mean, come on, folks. Like, we need to get a handle on this. And by the way, the bonded indebtedness, I was just looking at, since Pritzker started, it's up another $1 billion. He hasn't decreased bonded indebtedness. He's increased it, because I just pulled up Truth in Accounting's report from 2021. But we're going to turn to another issue, another really important Illinois issue, and actually it's got national implications. So this is from the Federalist. They wrote this article in March of 2025. They say a former Illinois GOP House candidate filed a legal complaint on Thursday requesting the Education Department investigate several Midwestern colleges for allegedly sharing protected student data with third parties working to boost left-wing get-out-the-vote efforts on university campuses. Brought by Republican Desi Anderson, who unsuccessfully ran for state house in the 2024 election, the plaint contains claims that numerous universities across Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin have unlawfully violated the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, by using students' protected data to make and implement student voter registration drives and get-out-the-vote campaigns. And where does this all go back to? It goes back to All-In Campus Democracy Challenge, and that is part of Civic Nation, and Civic Nation is spearheaded by Valerie Jarrett, former senior advisor to President Barack Obama. That's what they're doing, and they're still at it. And Desi joins me now to give us an update about this complaint and tell us more about any federal action that's going to take place. Desi, thanks so much for joining me on the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Jeanne. I appreciate you taking time, and this is an important issue to me And I think everyone else, not only in Illinois, but nationwide, should realize what is happening on our college campuses. This hits close to home. It hits every household, and it impacts everyone across the state.
Well, why don't you start with just telling us, we've had you on before about this, but I think that this is such an important topic because it shows you the collusion between government and nonprofits. And if they're not funding the nonprofits for nefarious aspects, then they're giving them information to use, for their own demise, for their own reasons. So how did you even find out about this?
Yeah, so I came across it when I was campaigning in central Illinois, covers Bloomington, Normal, and in the district I was running, it has about 4 universities, and it says from a campaign perspective, I always think, how do I make voter contact? How do I use my data the best to make sure people get out and vote? And once I realized I've got about 40,000 people in my district, I wasn't able to make voter contact because the data's protected. I thought, how do I jump over this hurdle? Well, the Democrats were smart enough, and the universities, they ended up partnering with All In Democracy Challenge, which is under Civic Nation. And I want to highlight, this is not just an isolated issue in Illinois. My legal complaint did file a lawsuit with the states of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, but this is actually a nationwide issue where roughly about 10.5 million students' data just in the year of 2024 was uploaded from their universities and sent to left-leaning organizations where their student data was then cross-referenced with National Voter Rolls ID. And so we just happened to stumble upon it in the work that we were doing. If anybody knows me, when I campaign, I am boots on the ground. I am in the field. I am constantly engaging with folks, and students were coming up to us upset that somehow folks were getting access to their data. And so we were able to connect the dots. And what we realized was students' information, they have been weaponizing it for political gain. And like you said, it is protected by federal law. And so what we're asking is not only the Department of Education to enforce it through these universities that have violated these students' rights. Students never gave consent. We're asking not only the Department of Education to step in, but we have been working with our federal legislators through Senator Mike Lee's office, who introduced a bill to close the loophole, and then also with Congressman Darren LaHood's office to do a similar bill for the House side and follow that similar language that Senator Mike Lee introduced.
So how hopeful are you that this legislation will get passed, or can you just simply shame these universities into doing the right thing and not participating in this all-in democracy challenge, which purports to be one that gauges, or where universities compete against each other for voter, voter interaction, right, for their students? Isn't that kind of what it's all about? And instead, what they're really doing is selling the voters' data.
That's absolutely correct. So universities will get awards or grant money from this NGO for voter engagement or student participation engagement. And really, the issue is, once again, the students have no idea that their personal information has been given away. So now you've got the question of custody of chain. Where does that data end? Who has access to it? Who, once it gets sold to or given to that third-party vendor, where's the end game? And so I think that's the frustration for students, especially when you look at the Turning Point chapter kids, where you see more chapters being opened after the death of Charlie Kirk. They're doing similar things on campuses where they're trying to engage with voters. Imagine if those universities turned around and partnered with Turning Point USA, there would be an outcry, which would be fair, right? You don't want to create an unequal or unfair playing field, and I think at the
it's already let's face it, it's already unfair on university campuses because you have all these progressive professors that are feeling there's these kids with nonsense and DEI stuff. I mean, we could cite case after case in the state of Illinois alone.
Yeah, correct. And so that's what I try to tell folks. It's not, at the end of the day, it's not, sour grapes. The reality is these students are falling victims and have no consent, and their universities, they entrust their universities. Mom and dad are entrusting universities as they're paying tuition to look out for the best interests of the students. And at the end of the day, that's not happening. And so I think it's appropriate that we will see legislation. I feel hopeful. The Department of Education will be taking our case on. We are waiting for more Trump personnel to get appointed through the Senate. Kimberly Ritchie is an attorney out of Oklahoma. She will be working with the Department of Education. She will be the one handling our case. She's currently waiting for a Senate confirmation hearing. Once that takes place, it'll be a full-on press to make sure these universities follow the rules, do not hand out student data without consent, and I hope legislation will follow that as well and match what the Department of Education is saying.
All right, great. Thank you for your work on this. Nobody would really know about this if you hadn't figured it out and then had the tenacity to file a federal complaint and see it through. So I really appreciate your work on this, Desi Anderson. Keep it up.
Thank you, Jeannie. I appreciate it.
All right, and she joined us on The Real Story. Thanks a lot. We'll be right back after this break.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal. But if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hard-working military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.
Well, welcome back. The phone number here is 312-642-5600. And, we're just going to classify this under the stupid things public schools do. Oh, by the way, in other news as well, Chicago Public Schools has lost 9,000 students again this year. So I think since about the 2012 timeframe, I think they've lost over 20% of their students. It used to be 404,000. They're down around, 310,000, something like that. So they've lost a significant number of students, and you got to wonder why. After all, they spent about $30,000 per kid. You'd think that they were doing really well, but people know the truth. They indoctrinate, don't educate. If you're a minority student, you're even worse off because you're shoved into a minority school. You don't have the opportunities. And so that's CPS. And here they are wondering, like, what's wrong? What's happening? People don't want your product. And of course, you have Chicago Tribune out there saying, oh, well, it's demographics and the birth rate's down and this and that. Yeah, okay. Some of that may be true. But for the most part, you have a terrible product. So people, if they can't get into a magnet school, they are going to move. And so they've been moving to the suburbs. We've seen them. They will enroll in the suburbs. They'll use somebody else's address to enroll in the suburbs. We know that happens. We know it. And they'll do whatever they can to keep their kids out of CPS, unless they're in a magnet school. So, anyway, the schools are a mess. And then you get this from the Chicago Teachers Union. I think this has been going around the internet, but I think it's pretty incredible. They posted on X, rest in peace, Assata Shakur. Today we honor the life and legacy of a revolutionary fighter, a fierce writer, a revered elder of Black liberation, and a leader of freedom whose spirit continues to live in our struggle. Assata refused to be silent. Well, who was she? Assata Shakur was convicted in 1977 of first-degree murder in the 1973 killing of a New Jersey state trooper and sentenced to life plus 33 years on other charges. She escaped to Cuba in 1979 and has been a fugitive since, listed on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list in 2013. So Chicago Teachers Union decided to say good words about her. Rest in peace. Found out that she died. Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, a Democrat, was appalled and stated so on X. So, yeah, at least there's some Democrats that understand that you don't honor murderers, especially of police. Really anybody, but especially police. So you had that going on in the school system. I mean, just these are things you just can't make up. And then, of course, you had the story come out of Des Moines, where the Des Moines School District hired an illegal alien who had an outstanding deportation order. Like, how the hell does that happen? This is from the official report on the arrest, and you can read it at ice.gov. It's one of their top stories, ice.gov, because it just happened. ICE arrests criminal alien serving as Des Moines Public Schools superintendent. Prior weapons charges and in possession of loaded handgun at the time of his arrest. He was a Guyana national. He tried to evade arrest, but officers discovered his abandoned vehicle in a wooded area. So this guy knew. He knew. I mean, he knew he was arrested. I mean, that he was not here legally. He knew he had a warrant out or a deportation order. But hey, he just bluffed his way through in this school board, which apparently is all female and all Democrat in Des Moines. Hey, we're going to hire him. I just want to know, where was the E-Verify system? I thought we had an E-Verify system. Are superintendents excluded? Are they thought to be of such stature that they don't have to comply? How about a W-9? I mean, this is actually a really good cause where unless you're a citizen, you don't get a Social Security number. No. And so you can't fill out a W-9. Well, I'm sorry. A lot of people demand a W-9, whether you're a contract employee or you're a regular employee, W-2 employee. You have to show up with a W-9. In fact, I just wrote a story for National Catholic Register, and I appreciate the fact that they were going to give me a little something on it, and I had to give them a W-9. I mean, you just have to. But this guy gets away with it because he doesn't have a Social Security number. So it says today, ICE Des Moines arrested Ian Andre Roberts, a criminal illegal alien from Guyana in possession of a loaded handgun, $3,000 in cash, and a fixed blade hunting knife. At the time of his arrest, Roberts was working as a superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, despite being an illegal alien with a final order of removal and no work authorization. During a targeted enforcement operation, those are the ones we don't like here in Illinois. Don't target anybody. Oh, no, we can't do that. On September 26, officers approached Roberts in his vehicle after identifying himself, but he sped away. Officers later discovered his vehicle abandoned near a wooded area. State Patrol assisted in locating the subject, and he was taken into ICE custody. Roberts has existing weapon possession charges from February 5th, 2020. Roberts entered the United States in 1999 on a student visa and was given a final order of removal by an immigration judge in May of 2024. The investigation into how Roberts acquired the handgun is being turned over to the ATF. It is a violation of federal law for those in the U.S. without legal status to possess a firearm and ammunition. Oh my gosh, that law gets broken every single day in the streets of Chicago. Okay, real quick though, we're going to take this call from John. John's on the line. John, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah, I love the show. I think that the reason that the math scores and the reading scores are so low, it's not a bug of the system. It's a feature of the system. I don't think that they want these people to be smart, because if they're smart, they won't vote Democrats. I think they want them to be stupid, so they go on like, public aid and whatever else, Section 8, whatever else there is, food stamps. And I think that they want them to not learn. I think they're teaching them how to think and not what to think. I want to know if that's possible.
Look, John, I mean, you raise a good point. Why are they not learning? And then you have states like, I think it's Mississippi, or maybe it's Louisiana, had the highest growth in reading scores. Why? Because they focused on the basics. Why is it that we had to actually pass legislation mandating that we're going to do phonics for reading? John, do you have any? I mean, this is what's happening. We have to mandate good training that we all learned how to read with. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all we got time for in this hour. But coming up after the break, we have Mary Fiorito, and we're going to talk about that Cupich Award to Dick Durbin. which I wrote about in the National Catholic Register, and which there's been lots of pushback from across the country. Dick Durbin deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Human Dignity Office? Hell no. We'll be right back.
Unreadable, inconsistent part marking is more than a nuisance. It's a liability. When your part marks fade, your quality and credibility also fade. GT Schmidt helps manufacturers leave a permanent mark on their products. Laser, dot peen, scribe, and roll marking systems. Our machines engrave everything from serial numbers, date codes, certification marks, barcodes, 2D matrices, and logos on metal, plastic, anodized coatings, and more. GT Schmidt laser systems provide high speed, versatility, and durability with non-contact precision. Harsh environment, rugged parts? GT Schmidt pin markers produce deep, reliable marks. Parts small or large, flat or round, we engineer systems to your specific application. GT Schmidt, the name for dependable part identification and traceability, setting the standards since 1895. Right now, save 10% off standard GeoMark Pro lasers and standard Styliner pin markers. Visit gtschmidt.com for the marking machine that's right for you. Made in the USA. GT Schmidt, your mark made to last.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer.
They say he was a Marine veteran. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. That's what police sources say about the gunman who rammed his pickup truck through the door of a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan, and opened fire on hundreds of people attending the service. Police Chief William Rennie.
We have 2 victims who are now deceased. One additional one had died at a local hospital. And again, that suspect is deceased as well. 7 other victims at this time are in stable condition. 1 is in critical condition.
And police have just updated that and now say that there are 5 people dead. Police shot and killed the shooter, identified as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, and say that he also set fire to the church. The man that's charged with the murder of conservative activist and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk is slated for a second court appearance.
It took 2 weeks to find someone qualified to represent Tyler Robinson, but now the accused assassin finally has a defense lawyer whose main job will be to try to save his life. Utah County commissioners have tapped Catherine Nestor, a seasoned trial attorney and a former federal public defender. She'll be going up against Chief Prosecutor Chad Grunander. Tomorrow, the judge is expected to schedule future court dates and possibly a preliminary hearing. Because Robinson says he can't afford his own lawyer, Utah taxpayers will foot the bill for both of these legal teams, which in a case like this could run well over $1 million.
Fox's Claudia Cowan. Hillstar Farms is recalling more than 58 million pounds of corn dog and sausage on a stick products after wood contamination injured 5 consumers. People are urged to toss out the packages or return them to the place of purchase. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Monday brings very warm conditions and abundant sunshine with a high of 87. Monday night stays clear with a low of 63. Expect Tuesday to continue warm and sunny, reaching a high of 81. Wednesday will be warm with sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Attention, hut! Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists, modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Our local hospitals are the heartbeat of our communities.
delivering critical care every hour of every day for everyone, training the next generation of caregivers. Beyond the walls, their benefit to the community is everywhere, driving the local economy and supporting local organizations, initiatives, and neighbors. Illinois Hospitals, healing communities. Learn more at team-iha.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Health and Hospital Association. Aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
Don, can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Ugh, me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for joining me for this program. Listen, this is a topic that actually is very near to my heart, near to my, I don't know, it just gets my blood boiling, actually. I guess it's near to my heart from that standpoint. It could give me a heart attack to read much more about this stuff. And that's the fact that Cardinal Cupich has decided to bestow a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Office of Human Dignity and Solidarity to none other than Dick Durbin. Dick Durbin. It's Catholics across the land are in shock that this is happening. And I'm not sure that a lot of people knew about it. I know that I'm on the Illinois Right to Life Action Board, and I know that I first heard about it from Illinois Right to Life fellow board member, Mary Kate Knorr, who stays on top of all these issues. And as a board member, she wrote to us saying, hey, listen, you know what, we would like to engage in dialogue. Dialogue. That we'll come back to that word in a moment. We'd like to engage in dialogue with Cardinal Cupich, so I've asked for a sit-down meeting to discuss this with him. And if he doesn't allow us to have that sit-down meeting, I'm going to put out this statement about how appalled we are, essentially, about giving this person who has a 100% rating with NARAL, the National Abortion Rights something, and a 100% voting record with Planned Parenthood. He's going to give him an award. This is ridiculous. So we're going to put out a statement if you don't meet with us. And we're like, I think you should put out a statement. My response was, you should put out a statement regardless. I don't care if he meets with you or not. But of course, Cupich wouldn't meet with her. And so the statement went out, and now we're going to hold a protest rally. But somebody who knows a lot about how this award was determined and the ins and outs of that office, because she actually worked in the archdiocese, is Mary Fiorito. And she's been on the show a number of times, and I appreciate her lending her expertise on everything. She's the Cardinal Francis George Fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. She is a lawyer, and she has expertise in human life issues, primarily abortion law and policy, post-abortion aftermath, and the consistent ethic of life. She's also an Illinoisan, which is great. And she joins me now to discuss this further because we both could not be more appalled. Mary, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Jeanne.
So why don't we just start? How on earth was it determined that Dick Durbin should receive this award?
Well, it seems to have been sort of a sole decision by Cardinal Cupich to do this, because certainly nothing at the local level, at the archdiocesan level, at the national level from the U.S. Bishops' Conference, and then at the international level from the Holy Father himself, including his recent statements to politicians from France who he received in an audience last month. Every single one of the policies that the church has, procedures at the archdiocesan level, and again, even Pope Leo's most recent comment to politicians about their duty as elected officials, all of those would suggest that Richard Durbin is not the type of person the church should be holding up as a person to emulate. He should not be receiving any kind of honors or awards, the policy says, that would suggest support for his actions, and certainly not an award called a Lifetime Achievement Award, because by its very name, it suggests that he is being awarded for the totality of the many things he has done in his long political career. Now, if it was, say, now ostensibly the reason he's receiving this award is for his advocacy on behalf of migrants, including migrants who have arrived here illegally. But if it was, say, the Migration Award or something like that, then maybe you could see, well, perhaps there's a, very narrow exception here. But a Lifetime Achievement Award, again, suggests that he's being awarded for everything that he's done. And I would say, we could look at his record in light of Catholic social teaching, and a huge chunk of it, I would gather more than 75%, has been exactly opposed to what the church is teaching. So it's really shocking. I know it's a slap in the face to politicians like you and pro-life Congressman Dan Lipinski and others who have really suffered for taking those principled stands on behalf of the people who are the most voiceless and vulnerable. And I know that you have been called names, and as was, Congressman Lipinski lost his seat over this.
Yes.
And,
Dick Durbin led arguably led the charge to ensure that Dan Lipinski lost that primary strictly because of his stance on abortion. And you can say that because he's the senior senator for a decade from Illinois. So he has a lot of influence on who should make it through that primary or not.
Of course. Yeah, no, there's no way that didn't happen without his knowledge and consent. Absolutely no way. And, I'm sure what must be hurtful to Dan Lipinski in particular is that I think Durbin and his father, the first Congressman Lipinski, served in Congress together. So it had to have kind of a personal sort of tinge to it as well. But, what they did was to find a Catholic woman who was pro-abortion and who had a child who identified as trans. And then they put that woman up using commercials where, she literally was standing in front of like St. Barnabas Church saying, I was born at Little Company of Mary Hospital and I go to St. Barnabas or something, just to basically take that whole working class Catholic, grouping that was in Dan's district that really loved him and supported him, and make them think that she was one of them. When she, in fact, Dan voted with the party 90% of the time. The 10% of the time that he didn't were issues that had to deal with protecting human life at its earliest stages, and then at its end, at its most vulnerable. And I know you personally have suffered positions that you took because when you were in the Illinois General Assembly, and then when you were a gubernatorial candidate. But the Holy Father, as I mentioned, met with politicians from I believe it was France. I know it was in Europe, and he said, we simply cannot say that, if you're Christian, that's just your private devotion. He said there is not the politician on one side and the Christian on the other. They are one and the same. You cannot live your life split like that.
Well, even lay people are told to live their life in light of the faith. We're called to do that. Yes. It's preached to us.
Right. And this is our obligation. And so not to do it, we know comes with a consequence, right?
Right.
But essentially, I think if we look back to 1984 when Mario Cuomo gave that famous speech at the University of Notre Dame, where he essentially said, if I take pro-life positions, then basically I'm forcing my morality and my religious beliefs on other people, like as if we were going to, force the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist onto the, when you go back and you look at our position on protecting unborn human life is grounded in science. We know that science tells us that at conception, we have a unique and distinct human being who is alive. And it is wrong to kill people who are vulnerable simply because of their age or, the location in which they live, even if that happens to be their mother's womb. So that, the Democratic Party was always the party for the little guy, for the person who was the most vulnerable. But what we've seen since that Mario Cuomo speech is, it started with that. And then Governor Robert Casey of Pennsylvania was not allowed to speak at the Democratic National Convention because he was pro-life, even though he was the repeat elect governor in the most populous Catholic state in the country, Pennsylvania. And, they managed to keep him off the stage at the Democratic National Convention. And then it just built from there, kind of culminating really with the targeting of Dan Lipinski and removing him from office. That was the last pro-life Democratic elected official in the country.
Well, and arguably, and what I wrote in my piece for National Catholic Register is that Cupich is also given this in the state of Illinois, which is politically tone deaf. I mean, you have to not understand the lay of the land in the state of Illinois because there is no actual bigger pro-abort governor than Governor Pritzker, because he started that Think Big PAC simply to push abortion rights in every single state. I recall being in South Dakota, and I was, driving my mother back from an appointment or going to visit her in the hospital, and this was in 2023, and there's a big billboard about abortion paid for by, Gavin Newsom. But, all that was part of the whole Think Big movement, too, with Pritzker. This is what these guys are doing. Inciting people to do this. And Pritzker, he has spent tens of millions of dollars of our tax money supporting Planned Parenthood and other, abortion businesses. And they've opened like 5 large ones in the time that he's become governor. This is his holy grail. This is what he wants. This is what he lives for. It's disgusting. And so to do that specifically in this state, Cupich to do this is really, really appalling to Catholics.
Yeah, that adds insult to injury, and to speak of, Governor Pritzker, who of course has, taxpayer-funded abortions for migrants who are here illegally. We now have in Chicago, after telling us that, that this reproductive rights law. I think you were in the General Assembly when that passed.
I was not there. I was not there. I'd just gotten out of office. So that was his big first initiative, was the Reproductive Health Act, quote unquote, Health Act, which is,
which they said was moderate, which they said, no, it restricts abortion after 24 weeks. And what do we see in the Chicago Tribune a couple of months ago? New all-trimester abortion clinic to open in Chicago. So, and it's like, your abortion should not be on someone else's timeline is their advertising it. And they do elective procedures. So that means healthy mom, healthy baby, right up to 34 weeks.
That's disgusting.
That is a full 12 weeks past viability. I have a nephew who was born at 22 weeks, who's a happy, healthy little 8-year-old today. That is a full 8 weeks past viability when babies are pain capable and they are viable. And we have now a new clinic that was, it was like lauded in the Tribune. They did it like it was some kind of new car dealership opening or something. It was just horrific. But this is Illinois. We have all these. It's become a tourist destination site.
Well, let's
to your point.
Let's turn though. At least you'd have Bishop Paprocki, who's pushing back, heavily pushing back, and he's got a strong voice because he's an Illinois bishop, and he's actually Dick Durbin's bishop. Dick Durbin officially lives in Springfield, folks. He doesn't live in Chicago. He may have a place in Chicago. Cupich can pretend that he's his pastor. He's not. His bishop is actually Paprocki. Paprocki has said he was shocked to learn that the Archbishop was giving this Lifetime Achievement Award. And he said this decision threatens to scandalize the faithful and injure the bonds of ecclesial communion. It should be reversed. That's what he wrote in First Things when he spoke out about it. And subsequently to that, I found, and I don't know where I found it, if I'll ever see it again, but somebody was actually ticking off the number of bishops and keeping a running count of how many bishops have come out opposed to Cupich's decision to give this award to Durbin. And last time I looked, I thought there was at least 9.
Yeah, I think there's 10 now. I think as of today, there's 10, and which is great. And, the thing is, though, I want to make it clear, as you pointed out, the reason Bishop Paprocki put out a statement right away is because Senator Durbin is his is his domiciled Catholic person, lay person who lives in his diocese. And I know that Durbin, of course, being a supporter of all things trans, he claims that he identifies as a Chicagoan now. And, and I know he has an apartment here, but, him and everybody else. I mean, Pritzker doesn't live in Springfield.
He votes from Springfield. Right? I know that for a fact.
Yes. Oh, he votes from Springfield. I believe his property tax bill goes to Springfield. His primary residence, I believe, on his tax return is Springfield. So he's domiciled in Springfield. And at the most, under canon law, there's something called a quasi-domicile, but that still makes Paprocki his bishop. And in his own diocese, and this is what some of your listeners might not be aware, for the last 20 years, Richard Durbin's been barred from going to Holy Communion, and that is about the most serious penalty that can be applied to a person in the Catholic Church, is to say, if you are what is called obstinately persisting in manifest grave sin, which support for abortion is, then you may not present yourself publicly for Holy Communion. You have to repent. You need to go to confession. You need to publicly renounce what you've done. And then you may be, it's meant to be medicinal, as Bishop Paprocki has pointed out multiple times. Mm-hmm. And Bishop Paprocki was not the one to impose that penalty on Richard Durbin. This goes back to other bishops. What Bishop Paprocki did was simply because Durbin's positions hadn't changed. And in fact, his votes had only gotten worse. I mean, he voted against restricting partial birth abortion. He voted against providing life-saving care to babies who survived abortion attempts. Sometimes babies are born alive with these later third trimester abortions. And Dick Durbin said, no, they should not get the same medical care that any other newborn gets. That's how, outside of the mainstream this man is in terms of abortion.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we got to kind of close it up here. I've got to go to a break, but I wanted to tell everybody that the Illinois Right to Life has assembled a protest outside of St. Ignatius on November 3rd at 5 p.m. We are going to protest this award if Cupich decides to continue to go through it. I don't know. Last comment, though, Mary, do you think Pope Leo ends up weighing in on this or not?
Well, the only person who can instruct Cardinal Cupich to rescind this award is the papal nuncio, who would be the Holy Father, Pope Leo's ambassador here in the United States. His name is Cardinal Christophe Pierre. So if any of your listeners feel motivated to do something, they need to go to the nuncio, to the Pope's representative here in the United States, and say this is causing division. The Pope Leo has called for unity, and this is just strikes at the heart of unity. And, the Pope himself, again, in that address to French politicians last week, he said, sometimes politicians must have the courage to say, no, I cannot do this. I cannot vote for this. And, we can't have those beautiful words from the Holy Father, essentially trampled upon by Cardinal Cupich's actions here. So that's the way to do it, to be respectful.
Well,
I ask the nuncio. Yes.
Well, I know that Brian Birch, the new ambassador to the Vatican, is very much aware of this, and Catholic Vote is doing a lot of social media ads against it too. I don't know. Maybe it's a call. Maybe we can get a call from Trump on it. All right.
Wouldn't that be interesting? All right, Jeanne.
I got to leave it there. Thanks a lot. Okay. We'll be right back with the real story. We're going to talk about censorship from Google and YouTube.
That's cold! Don't get stuck with a cold shower this fall. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Don't wait. The cold temperatures are coming, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this fall special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive fall special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
The Real Story with Jeanne Ives continues on AM 560.
Got it?
The Answer.
Welcome back. It's Jeanne Ives, and we're just moving on to another topic. I only have a few minutes on this one. Is Babette on the line? Oh, she keeps dropping. Okay, sorry. Well, we were going to talk about Google censorship because this is really important to me. I can tell you that my platforms were certainly censored by Google and definitely by YouTube. And Babette runs our social media at Breakthrough Ideas, so I wanted her in about this because she keeps telling me, you can't say COVID. You say COVID in one of your real story, because we actually broadcast this over YouTube. A lot of people watch this on YouTube. They like to watch me talk. I don't understand that, but whatever. They watch people talk, or you can watch it on Facebook and whatnot. But we have been censored. When we put up something about COVID, we get censored for it. Or election integrity, hot button issue, boom. They'll just bleep it out. And they do this with social media posts, all that. Okay, hey, Babette, you know what? I was just railing here about the fact that we've been censored. And sure enough, Jim Jordan comes out. They've got this whole letter. And apparently Google said, oh, yeah, okay, we promise we're going to end our ban on YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans censored for political speech. Well, that political speech was rampant. So just tell us, just give my audience a sense of what you've had to do to get around, or things that you have seen taken down because we've talked about COVID or election integrity.
Yes. Hey, Jeanne, exactly. And I wasn't surprised to hear this in this discovery. But I was actually shocked that Google admitted it, or YouTube. And we run hoops, as you know. I run all kinds of hoops. Can't use this word. Don't put that in the title. Hey, could you not say that and refer to it as the C, the big C? And yet they would keep and catch up. For instance, I had to take down a video you had done a while back, and you were agreeing with what the CDC said. And you said, it's right here, the CDC says it. They deemed that video so hard and then threatened us if we didn't take it down that they would suspend our account.
Yeah. So have you seen any improvement now that this new, rule came out?
Well, it's ironic with the new rule. I actually went back to look just the other day and scroll all the way through our Breakthrough-Ideas YouTube channel. And one thing I noticed is all those yellow banners are gone, as well as their alerts and warnings that they would put right across your video, and also in where you would write called the description of the topic of what you're talking about. It's all disappeared. It even looks like some of the videos have actual improved viewership. I'm noticing a lack of being able to pull up the analytics on those videos at this time, because I wanted to cross-check the prior data I had taken with the current data, which means they're really scrambling to clean and clear this up. And it's just appalling to think that our own government could dictate to a private business of how they are to allow people to have their voices and their First Amendment rights.
Yeah, no, and they're saying that senior Biden administration officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach to Alphabet and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content related to COVID-19, pandemic that did not violate its policies. While the company continued to develop and enforce its policies independently, Biden administration officials continued to press the company to remove non-violative user-generated content. So they were pressured by Biden to stop this stuff. Now, YouTube. Yeah, I know this is just such a joke. It's just censorship. Jawboning?
Yep, they jawboned them. And it wasn't just YouTube. It was Meta, X, and any other type of platforms. And I mean, they laid heavily on them about it. And then it was, Jeannie, something else I recently discovered, really digging down into this and getting granular. I mean, we're focusing on the U.S., but there are those freedom-seeking people in other countries, such as the centers with China and the communists and Russia.
Yeah.
They removed their videos.
Well, okay, so this is one level of censorship. We all know about it. It's been widely reported now. We know what to watch for. Our politicians better watch out for us, too, because in the UK, they are now putting in a digital universal ID that's designed to control, track, and monitor every detail of life for the British people. This is outrageous. We need to help save the Brits again, this time from the digital war. Or the censorship war, because this is as bad as it gets if they're going to do this. And of course, censorship in Britain is out of control. As well, you can't talk about your faith one bit. So we got work to do in this area.
And that actually affects us too. That it will affect U.S. users because of what the British are doing and what their people are doing. So all platforms and every business has to follow these international rules and so forth. You can have followers from those countries and people who work like I do on the back end notice, and that's going to really affect our distribution as well.
All right. She's Babette Holder, our social media director. Thanks a lot for joining me. We'll be right back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Join AM 560 on Thursday, October 2nd in Glen Ellen for a conservative conversation, an evening of insight, inspiration, and ideas on how conservatives can unite around shared values to advance a common agenda. Speakers will include Pastor Lorenzo Sewell of 180 Church in Detroit, Jeannie Ives, and John Anthony, with each bringing a unique perspective on faith, policy, and community leadership. Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/conversation. That's 560theanswer.com/conversation.
Fox News area, Aldinger, deaths rise from a shooting at a Mormon church in Michigan.
Up to 4 victims. As I said before, there has already been the suspect who is deceased as well. So we have 5 deceased persons from this tragic incident.
Chief William Remy of the Grand Banks Police Department. He says the suspect, Thomas Sanford, is among the dead. President Trump will meet with Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu this week.
President Trump has been an incredible ally of Israel, incredible friend. We've had no one like him.
They are expected to discuss Mr. Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza and release all the hostages. Netanyahu pledges not to annex the West Bank. New York Mayor Eric Adams has ended his re-election bid. America's listening to Fox News.
It's Reveille. It's folks like these that we need more of doing the hard work of community violence prevention, Pritzker remarked after meeting with anti-violence peacekeepers. At the time that Governor Pritzker made these remarks, he was standing next to a man wearing a Peacekeepers t-shirt, who days later was arrested for murder. CWB Chicago broke the story, and in their article, they said the man also had warrants for his arrest in 4 other states. This one episode shows you what a scam these violence prevention organizations are. In an attempt to do damage control, Pritzker's media team scrubbed the photo of him standing next to the man, but no amount of scrubbing can erase the story, and in fact, more investigation is needed. This quote-unquote peacekeeper is a flip worker under Chicago Cred. FLIP stands for Flatlining Violence to Inspire Peace. They are an affiliate program of Chicago Cred, a nonprofit headed by Arne Duncan, Obama's former U.S. Secretary of Education. On Chicago Cred's website, it says when Duncan returned to Chicago, he wanted to help reshape the city's approach to gun violence and focus on saving lives. So the idea of Chicago Cred was born. Their teams include individuals with street cred, meaning ex-felons. But in fact, in many cases, the people they work with haven't actually left their life of crime behind. That's how you get the governor standing next to a guy at an anti-violence press conference who days later is arrested for murdering someone while evading the police after stealing $700,000 from a Louis Vuitton store. And Illinois taxpayers are paying for this. Chicago Cred partners with a number of taxpayer-supported organizations, and in the FY 2026 state budget, their partners alone are set to receive over $36 million. A decade ago, there was a massive investigation into the misuse of tax dollars going to violence prevention programs. We haven't learned anything. Here we are again with another investigation needed. I'm Jeanne Ives. Join me Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
If you need custom boxes and crates, expert packing and crating, import-export transloading with heavy lift capability, the DC Group delivers. It all started 51 years ago with DC Export and Domestic Packing, the hard work of founders Dominic and Carol Cochamiglio. Their family's desire to exceed customer expectations, backed by an incredible team and loyal customers, is now driving expansion. From their humble roots in a garage-sized building to 100,000 square feet in the Chicago area, 45,000 in Greenville, and a new Houston facility, they're coast to coast, and their sister company DC Transport handles everything from container drayage to super heavy haul loads across North America since 1991. Whether it's packing and crating, transloading, transportation service, or trade shows, the DC Group delivers. Those that attended FabTech 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Get your quote now at dcexport.com. That's dcexport.com, your trusted logistics partner.
We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeanne Ives.
Well, we know what time that is. It's Watchdog time. And John Kraft with the Edgar County Watchdog joins me tonight. Kirk is not available tonight, which is fine. And John, you brought a friend with you because the good thing that you guys are doing is you are replicating what your work in other counties from interested citizens who want to do the same type of work. So I believe you've got the Vermilion County Watchdog on the line as well.
That is correct.
Okay, that's awesome. But I think, John, you're going to lead the stories tonight. They're pretty complicated, so I want my listeners to listen up. And you're going to learn something about what happens to you if you're a watchdog. And John and Kirk know about it. And by the way, they talked about it. I thought it was a great outing at Orland Park on Thursday night. And, there was a lot of people that are very concerned about the community. And so hopefully more watchdogging takes place. But John, this is a complicated story. So I want you kind of to lay it out. And there's actually two different stories, both of which the Vermilion County Watchdog has taken it upon himself to be the lead on, and with some assistance from the Edgar County Watchdog. So go ahead, John. Which one do you want to explain first?
Well, we haven't really assisted them much, but
okay.
the last segment you talked about censorship from Google and YouTube, and this is, we see this, we just haven't seen it at this level yet. I mean, this is astounding what's happening to the Vermilion County Watchdog. This is what local government tries to do to people that report on what's going on with either the public officials or what the local government are doing or the public employees. Even Algonquin Township several years ago had their attorney to write YouTube and tell them to take down one of our videos, and our video was nothing more than a board meeting. So they did, but we uploaded it straight to our website, so we got around that one. This one involves Vermilion County Watchdog and an assistant football coach at Westfield High School. It's in Vermilion County. It also involves Oakwood, Illinois, and it also involves a guy that's the village administrator and building inspector of two other local municipalities of Vermilion County. But
wait a minute, John. So, and what puts these two stories together for listeners is the retribution that the Vermilion County Watchdog received simply because he started to bring to light malfeasance. That's
correct.
why this is important. And this is why it's important for listeners to pay attention. Go ahead.
So there's an assistant football coach in Westfield High School that Vermilion County Watchdog wrote about, and they produced the public records. He had an affair with a 16-year-old sophomore when he was a volunteer assistant football coach for the high school. She had a baby. The Illinois Department of Public Health had to sue him to prove parentage, so they would force him to pay child support. And he was, 99.99999% the father. When they wrote about that, this guy filed an order of protection against Vermilion County Watchdog. This guy's girlfriend, not the mother of his child, but his current girlfriend, also filed an order of protection against Vermilion County Watchdog. Basically, they wanted to keep him from continuing to write about the story because he was just rehired. He was rehired by the Westville High School as an assistant football coach a couple months after the girl graduated from high school.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about it. And Vermilion County Watchdog noticed a connection between the girl and a board member, too. I mean, are you on here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Alec.
Could you tell us the connection between the board members and the mother?
There was a family member that was related, and that's kind of how I figured out that there was some conflict of interest at play.
And the family member was a board member of the school board?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the status of the order of protections, and what's the next step?
Currently, the order of protection, the assistant coach dropped his order of protection against me right before we were going to go to court. The girlfriend's order of protection is set for plenary. Her emergency order was denied. The attorney in the case has filed for these interrogatories against the watchdog, and the judge has agreed that they are allowed to ask us 10 personal questions about our financials and other questions related to us. And so, yeah, we have a hearing set for November 19th regarding that.
So this is all simply because you wrote about a story that people should be aware of. You're paying, you're alerting people to things that are happening in their community. You write the story. They're not suing you for defamation. They're not suing you for anything they're not denying that what you wrote was untrue, correct?
Correct.
Right. That's right. So they're just trying to harass you, and in the meantime, force you to possibly hire a lawyer to defend yourself, which is expensive.
Yeah, I will have to hire an attorney.
These people suck.
Yes.
Yes, and it happens more often than people believe. They think because they work for the government or they're a public official that they could just harass somebody that writes, the truth about what they did.
Okay, so staying on this story for a moment, has anybody else approached the school board? Is the school board still? Does this guy still on the payroll as an assistant coach, even though is it statutory rape if you get a 16-year-old pregnant? I don't know.
He no longer has a relationship with the school. And what we discovered is, yes, this is a criminal act. However, law enforcement and the state's attorney is not pursuing charges.
So he can, without any charges on that act, he could simply move to another school district, another county, another state, whatever, and continue to, I guess, be around children, even though he should be registered as a sex offender.
Yeah.
Unless they Google his name.
Which is why he wants these stories off.
That's right.
Probably.
Yeah, and Google does that. And when I FOIA'd the school district for his employment history and any history of him being an assistant football coach, they denied anything prior to the last time they hired him. But there's videos and photos and news articles of him dressed up in school uniform during football games, and even appears to be coaching or helping coach the football team when they run out on the field and on the sidelines during football games. How they could deny he had anything to do with it during that time frame, I don't have a clue.
Okay, so are they denying it because they say he wasn't? He was only a volunteer coach, so they don't have to have any records on him?
They said they had no records on him. They didn't even.
Well, if you volunteer with children, you have to go through background checks.
Correct.
So they would have had a record on him, and they would have had some sort of agreement with him. And if you are a coach on a team, you have to abide by particular standards as well. So I have a hard time. So okay. All right, hey guys, we're going to take a short break, and then I want to come back and I want to cover how the Vermilion County Watchdog has been harassed, but this time in Oakwood, Illinois. So we'll be right back. These are really good stories. People need to pay attention. This is The Real Story with Jeanne Ives.
The Dinesh D'Souza Podcast.
This is the important thing to recognize about Trump is he's a very transactional guy. Trump will impose a penalty, and if you come to him and say, well, let's make a deal. This is the actual opposite of socialism. This is called cutting a deal to make something work. And I think that's all that goes through Trump's mind.
Subscribe to the Dinesh D'Souza Podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone.
But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at truepowergenerator.com. That's TRUpowergenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Hi, Dan Proft here. Data shows that boys make up more than 1/3 of those exploited in the sex trade. However, there are virtually no services available to male victims and survivors of trafficking and exploitation. They are often overlooked, ignored, and left without support. For 35 years, Emmaus has been on the front lines of an issue most of us can hardly imagine, helping men and boys in Chicago escape the nightmare of human trafficking and rebuild their lives. On Friday, November 1st, you're invited to attend an unforgettable evening at the Emmaus 35th Anniversary Gala at Fisherman's Inn in Elburn, Illinois. Together, they'll celebrate faith, freedom, and restoration with a beautifully catered dinner, an inspiring program, and a silent auction, all to support the mission of rescuing and restoring survivors. This is your chance to do something that truly matters. Reserve your seat today, or if you can't attend, make a life-changing donation at streets.org. That's streets.org. Emmaus is restoring lives. Let's help them keep going. Visit streets.org.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donnelly Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donnelly Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonnellyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donnelly does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donnelly has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donnelly Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donnelly Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonnellyAuctions.com.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.
All right, welcome back. So we are on part 2. Continuation of how the Vermilion County Watchdog, who has replicated the work of the Edgar County Watchdog, but has done it in his own area, paying attention to what goes on in local government and getting the word out. One thing that the Edgar County Watchdogs did say, and I think this is absolutely true, it's that if you're a watchdog, you really do need to have a website because you have to have a place to post this stuff so that you can share it with other folks around the community, you know, and that's how things go viral. You text an article to somebody and, you know, they text it to the next friend. And before you know it, the people are informed. And this is exactly the type of exposure that public officials, not all of them, not all, but many of them, you know, they don't want to be accused of ever doing anything wrong. And, you know, if you've listened to this segment that we do every week, you know that it doesn't matter. Large, small, it's not just Chicago corruption. It's really endemic. It's everywhere. And it comes in all sorts of forms. And the people that are blowing the whistle are the ones that are getting punished. And so, John, thanks a lot. You brought the Vermilion County Watchdog on with you. He's still on the line. And we are going to turn now to what's happening in Oakwood, Illinois. What is this population? I don't know, 800?
Yeah, something like that. This is a cautionary tale of another thing we always tell everybody.
Okay.
Video or audio record every single public meeting you go to, because you never know when you're going to need it. Sometimes you need it to inform the public. Sometimes you need it for a CYA to keep yourself out of trouble. So what happened in Oakwood? The Vermilion County Watchdog showed up to a contentious public meeting in August. I think it was August. And the room was almost full, so he sat down between a 63-year-old and a 74-year-old lady who...
The story cracks me up, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
Who didn't know, I don't think he knew what was going to happen. He says he didn't know what was going to happen. And during the meeting, they allegedly disrupted the meeting. I think they cursed at the mayor and a trustee or something, and then one of them went outside and cursed at him again after the meeting. But during this whole thing, because he was sitting in between the two, all three of them were charged with mob action. I mean, can you imagine mob action for cursing at the mayor during a meeting?
I mean, you don't even have the ICE protesters outside the Broadview detention facility getting charged with mob action. And they're a mob. Yeah. They're an actual mob.
But somebody shows up to a meeting and then they end up getting charged with mob action.
Ridiculous. Who's the state's attorney that would allow that? Come on.
I don't know. The one of the issues is when I found out about this, I sent a FOIA to Oakwood Police Department, said, hey, I want the police reports and I want the video. Because within the police reports, allegedly, is mention of a video that was being watched. There was no audio, it's just video. So I'm assuming it was a security camera inside the building that the police department would not give me. But they wrote about it in the police report that they wouldn't give me either. And if Vermilion County Watchdog wants to opine on what would be included in that video, what it would show, he can speak now on that subject.
I had a fake account message my watchdog and send me the docket that shows I was charged. The police never contacted me. Nobody had contacted me, but a fake account messaged our group. So then I made it a point to take the rest of the day off work, and I traveled to the police department, and I spoke with the chief of police, and he showed me the video of me. The meeting lasted 18 minutes, and he showed me the video where I sat quietly with my head down for 15 of the 18 minutes, and they claimed I said all these things, but you could tell based on my body language and my mouth, I wasn't really speaking or interacting at all. And I left quietly. So it's been quite the ordeal for sure. It's really crazy. The state's attorney of our county is Jacqueline Lacey. She is a Republican. It seems like she has a personal vendetta against me, and this is her way of silencing me. The video speaks for itself, that I obviously wasn't disruptive or alarmed anybody. So it is the case that I will be taken to a jury trial.
That's unreal.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Oakwood Police Department denied even the existence of the video when I sent a FOIA request for it. They said they don't possess any such video. But in the police report that a village administrator and building inspector of two surrounding villages obtained, how he obtained it, and when they denied it to me, I don't have a clue, but he posted it on Facebook. In that police report, they mentioned watching the video to do their police report. So we know the video's there. The village denied even having it. And this other guy from neighboring community got copies of the police report that the police won't give anybody and posted them on Facebook.
Well, they're violating FOIA, so I guess they're going to be paying out some taxpayer money since they're violating FOIA. What does the state's attorney say about that?
Well, we haven't filed a lawsuit yet,
Well, get on it. Let's go. Chop.
More fuel to the fire. Vermilion County Watchdog went to Catlin's meeting and asked this guy to resign, Dave Biggerstaff, their village administrator or whatever he is now. And then a couple of days later, he filed an order of protection against the watchdog.
For asking for an official to resign? I don't know how many times I've done that.
What was that? Vermilion County Watchdog, what was that order of protection based off of?
He claims that I went to his house, and obviously I didn't. I drive a sports car, and so he claimed that the vehicle showed up to his house was me, and he has a video of it. Obviously it wasn't me, and then he had some other baseless lies in it. So his emergency order was denied, but we are set for plenary, and he has retained the same attorney that is representing the other OP against me. So
Oh, the same one that's up in the Westville?
Yeah.
Oh, case? Oh my gosh. And so you're having to spend money, your own money, to defend yourself in these frivolous lawsuits.
Yep, and missing work.
God bless you. I mean, this is just. Do you have a website? Can people donate if they want to?
We don't have a website.
Okay.
We have a business cash app and a coffee link.
And then how do you get your information out? Do you use a Substack or what do you do?
We use Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, so Facebook is basically Vermilion County Watchdog Facebook, and that's where you post all your stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, you know what? God bless you. Thank you so much for doing this hard work. I think you're going to prevail, especially because once the Edgar County Watchdogs get a hold of something, they'll help out. Okay, thank you both, gentlemen. That's all we have time for tonight. Really appreciate everybody listening in. We'll be here same time next week, 7 to 9 p.m. This is The Real Story with Jeanne Ives.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices, only $19.98